9 o'clock, we'll call the county board meeting to order. Begin with the flag pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Beth.
Sure. Commissioner Benoit?
Here.
Commissioner Heinen?
Here.
Commissioner Pop?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Kapinski?
Present.
Thank you.
Approve or amend the agenda, Monty?
Mr. Chair, we have one item to add. It's a SNAP update by Human Services. Before we add it, just I wanted to mention is we need to make some schedule adjustments this morning.
Okay.
So that you can recess county board at 10, so that Kale from Rinky can join us.
Yep.
We need to move our closed session to 9:30. So we're going to need to take a break about 9:27, 9:28 to get the room set up for our labor attorney to join us for that closed session. So if you could plug into your agenda, again, a break about 9:27, 28 for labor attorney closed session, and then a recess at approximately 10 for ditch authority. So I think those are pretty significant stops. We really need to, can't drift over because to keep with Kale's schedule and Susan's schedule, we really need to stop at those times. So I guess the question is, where does the Human Services item fit?
Mr. Chair, what I would recommend is to do Roxanne, do Troy, do Roxanne, do SNAP, and then put Monty on hold until after the.
Perfectly
closed
fine.
session.
So you're thinking maybe is after Roxanne at 9:10, the Human Services update. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then that's all the changes we have, Mr. Chair.
Move for approval of amended agenda, Mr. Chair.
Second.
And moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. County board meetings are broadcast live and video recorded on YouTube. Please refrain from speaking from the audience area and come to the podium so that viewers can hear you. The county board observes the Roberts Rules of Orders for its meetings, so please obtain the board's chair consent before addressing the county board. Public comments are generally reserved for open forum segment or public hearing. However, public comment on other agenda items may be allowed at the discretion of the board's chair. Please turn your phones to vibrate. Thank you. Open forum? Nobody, okay. Consent agenda, we have items 1 through,
Move approval?
I want to pull.
Second. Now you can go ahead.
I'd like to pull item number 4 for.
I'll amend mine, removing item number 4.
And I will also.
okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve items 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Mr. Chair, just as a correction, 1 through 3. And
Yep.
1 through 3, okay.
Everything except.
Everything except, there we go. Is there,
There was a motion
there
and a
was a
second.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 4?
And I just have a quick question. I noticed on the application that on number 6 on the application, it says our property taxes current, and the box is marked no. Is it common for us to issue a license with the current taxes not up to date?
Yes, but they have since paid in full, so
Okay.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
we can issue a license if the current taxes are not paid. It's only if they're delinquent.
Oh, delinquent. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll move item number 4.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to move item number 4 for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Troy?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Back before you once again with the ACH contract. As I mentioned last time, we've been with ACH to provide our jail medical services for the last 3 years. We have before you a 3-year contract. Last time that I presented this, it was the wishes of the board to look at reducing the rate being proposed for the 2027, 2028 years. Following that meeting, I had a conversation with the folks at ACH. Thanks, I think, in no small part to our strong relationship that we developed with ACH, they were willing to re-examine those 2 years and are proposing a 3% increase in 2027 and 2028.
Any questions?
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
Well, it's been moved and seconded for a 3-year contract with ACH for jail medical.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
thanks for your work on this, Troy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Appreciate you going back.
Yeah.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Troy.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Roxanne?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
All right.
Okay. So in light of some recent concerns that have come up regarding land use and in light of a planning commission item that'll be coming forward, a request to amend the comprehensive plan and a rezoning request, I thought it would be good to kind of review how zoning came to be and how that operates here, not only in Benton County, but in all jurisdictions. So zoning is guided by the comprehensive plan, which lays out the framework for the development of the county. The comprehensive plan is generally updated every 10 years, and it was most recently updated and adopted on June 4th, 2019. As part of that process, we spent several meetings, 7 meetings with the County Board and Planning Commission, 9 meetings with cities and townships, 3 with focus groups, and then 13 months of rigorous review of the comprehensive plan to come up with what we have here as just one component of that comp plan, which is the land use planning framework. And that is to help guide us in the development of the county, maintaining that most of the county is agricultural in nature, and then reserving those areas along Highway 10 and at intersections for commercial development, just due to the location of the access points and the heavier traffic. And then areas generally between the city of Rice and Sartell as primarily where we want to see most of our residential development, just due to the proximity of services and roadways. In addition, those areas have always maintained more of a residential or commercial nature simply due to the fact of the soils. And they've been not as good of quality as we see in the rest of the county. Of course, advancements in technology have increased their ability to produce. However, that is primarily the reason why the comprehensive plan shows that side of the county as more of a residential or commercial area for the county. So after the adoption of the comprehensive plan, we then thoroughly reviewed the zoning ordinance. And this wasn't just making sure that it matched up with the comprehensive plan. This was a full overhaul of the entire zoning ordinance. It was a full repeal and replace of the zoning ordinance. And so we thoroughly went through every zoning district and the uses within those districts to determine if it made sense with our comprehensive plan and for those areas in particular. That adoption occurred on April 21st, 2020. So that led to what we see here as our zoning map, with each of our districts identified in a different color. And again, you see how it matches up with primarily our residential districts between Rice and the city of Sartell. along with commercial areas along and adjacent to Highway 10. We do have some of these rural service districts that are at the intersection of more major intersections, such as 95 and 25. We've got Duelm down here. So just identifying those particular locations. And the key purpose of these zoning districts is to regulate land use, guide development, protect public welfare, prevent incompatible uses, maintain neighborhood character and property values, and to provide for adequate infrastructure. Making sure that there is a difference between where we're placing our residential uses versus our commercial uses to protect the public health, safety, general welfare, just by making sure that there is space between those especially for safety purposes. And then just to kind of get into specifically that difference between commercial and industrial development, in our comprehensive plan, under our goals, we try to guide that commercial and industrial development to planned areas with adequate road service. But we do recognize that individuals do have home businesses. However, we state that allowed home-based businesses in rural areas that are compatible with neighboring properties and access roads. And going on to the next page here, we kind of outline in our development code exactly what a home-based occupation or extended home business is. The home occupation is something that occurs within the single-family dwelling structure, and it takes up no more than 20% of the home, and essentially it's not noticeable from the outside of the building. Home extended businesses occur in an accessory structure. And some of those examples are home offices, seamstress, tailor, photography studio, beauty or barber shop with limited customers, internet sales with no face-to-face customer service, daycare services. And again, these businesses are relative to the zoning district in which they're located. So you may not feel that, you may not see certain home businesses in a residential district that you may see in an agricultural district. For example, we have a location that has horses and they do lessons. So in the ag district, that may be an appropriate use as an extended home business where they're providing lessons on horses, where that is not appropriate in a residential area. So just to kind of go through a few of those things. In light of the most recent concern by a resident granting of a use variance, we statutorily are not able to grant use variances. And that is so that we protect our zoning districts, the public health and safety of areas, so that when there are set standards and uses allowed in a particular zoning district, we are not allowing one or, picking and choosing the types of uses that are allowed in there, thereby affecting the full character of that zoning district. Furthermore, rezoning a single lot may be construed as spot zoning, where you're only changing the zoning of an area specifically to allow a certain use. And there is case law that I'm losing the word here, supports that supports that use variances are not something that can be granted, and spot zoning doesn't always hold up. And you look into the size of the lot and whether the surrounding zoning is different and whether it's supported by the comprehensive plan. I also know that there was concerns about tax classification versus zoning districts. And the tax classification determines the tax rate based on the property's actual use, while zoning regulates the potential and legal use of the property. So for example, let's say you do have somebody with a daycare, they're going to have a commercial tax classification, but it doesn't mean that all commercial uses would be allowed there. And so that's something that absolutely needs to be looked into before moving forward. So we can't say, okay, well, they're classed commercial, they have a daycare running there, but now they move out and I get to move in a retail operation because it's commercial. And that's the difference between taxing and zoning classifications. Yes.
Just for the board, I was in DC at the last meeting when all this came up, so a lot of this is due to my questions on this issue. Because one of the things that came up with was exactly that. On the tax, it says it's commercial.
Yep.
So they're getting taxed commercial, but yet they can't have a commercial
Correct.
business there.
Right.
So to me, something's got to change. You know, whether tax, they shouldn't be being taxed commercial if
If they can't do.
they can't do business, right?
Well, no longer should they be in there doing business. They should not have been doing business, and so with the ceasing of that operation, yes, right.
Yeah.
It
But when
needs-
they bought it, it was commercial taxed. So I can see, now, ignorance of the law is not always good, right? I get that. But you gotta understand that people just starting a business, they're not attorneys and lawyers, and they look at that and they're like, oh, I get it. They didn't ask the questions, doesn't make it right. That's why I think they're in this position. I don't think they meant to harm anybody.
No, and most people, I mean, I would say most people do not intend that, but I get a lot of phone calls every day, every week, asking if certain things are allowed, and I think there was a lack of due diligence, and it may not have been on the property owners, it may have been on the realtor or the previous property owner. Information was misconstrued, and it's unfortunate. And I know, just kind of to address, I know there was concerns about other uses in that particular neighborhood. And I've talked to the the current property owners about this. There's a repair garage in that neighborhood. I'm aware of that. That particular property has had a repair garage prior to us regulating specific home businesses. And so they were allowed, and that is one example of where a non-conforming use is allowed to expand because they were in place at a time in which it was not regulated.
That's exactly what is wrong with government, is because 99% of people don't understand that. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating.
Yep, and I take every opportunity I can to fully explain that to.
I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I'm not saying that.
You know, so, Mr. Chair, so Roxanne, when that non-conforming use goes away, then that goes away with the property too then, though?
Correct.
Because that was grandfathered in, but once that,
So if it ceases to operate for 1 year,
right,
that use goes away. Yep.
I've dealt with this a lot at the city level.
Yeah.
When I was with the city.
So I have a question on that repair shop.
Sure.
If that person sells that piece of property, does that grandfather move with the property if someone else buys the repair shop?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
I would imagine there's a CUP on there.
There's not.
So it was even prior to that.
Yes. Yes. It was allowed to be there when home businesses did not require a specific permit. They were simply allowed as a home occupation or a home business.
So is that why they need to be done if they don't do anything within 12 months because there's no CUP there to go with the property? I mean, what if there's a CUP there
Good question.
Yeah.
without one?
Then that makes it legal versus a legal non-conforming use.
Sure. So the reason that it has to go away is because they don't have a CUP and they haven't done business for 12 months. But if they'd had a CUP and not done business for 12 months, they still have the CUP. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Well, it's just, from my standpoint, I'm sitting here going, we're begging workers and businesses to come into the county, and on the other side, not your fault, but the laws don't allow us, and then they get upset with us and move out of the county.
Right, and I mean, Roxanne, from day one, since you've been here, you've been really intelligent and bringing us up to speed on this. kind of stuff, and I really appreciate that. But I agree with Jared, sometimes the law just is not right.
It's not, and we're the ones that answer for it.
Well, and I think it's important to remember that, I mean, this is an exact situation, but there's some things that we have to look at it sometimes, right? The billboard issue, for example, on Highway 10. We looked at that and decided as a board that that's something that needed to get updated. You know, are these some of those issues? I'm not talking about variances, but I'm talking about, you know, our comp plan.
Right.
At some point, that's going to get reviewed, and some of this stuff is going to get.
And we're not prohibiting businesses per se in our residential neighborhoods, just certain types of businesses, ones that are going to have a lot more vehicles, bigger vehicles, more noise, traffic, safety concerns for residential roads and things like that. But I would say nearly 95% of the county, it would be allowed in.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, they chose that one, you know.
I want to make it extremely clear. I'm not saying you did anything wrong at all. It's just
It's a difficult conversation to have. Yeah.
Difficult to have with the applicant or the person that did it.
Yep.
well, and you look at and I know you can't single out property, but you look at the property, it's actually kind of set up for something like that, to where it's got the tree barriers and everything like that. It's like,
Well, and even the location, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at just to the northwest, and there's, you know, big agricultural fields.
300
Yeah.
acres up there.
Yeah.
And
So
they're
it's-
right alongside the railroad tracks.
Yeah,
and
railroad
everything,
tracks,
too.
nothing's gonna happen on that other side.
yeah,
I mean, but it's, you know, I mean, you were here when we did the comp plan, and it was a long process, and we met with townships, cities, everybody, you know, the one deal that was in the orderly annexation that came forth up in the Rice area. Boy, then people did not want it, and we eventually come to an agreement.
And it's a great example of we can't cover every situation that might come up.
Yeah,
So
it's a
true.
blanket.
it is, yep. Anyway, anybody else, got anything else?
Nope.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank
You.
Yep. Thanks for all your knowledge, Shay.
Thank you.
Snap.
Yep, we'll do the. You got,
Good morning. I know that SNAP is on the news every single day, so you probably can't help but see some of the updates. But I asked Janelle to give us a current update of where we're at today with SNAP. And sometimes people might wonder if we're not issuing SNAP benefits in November, what our staff are doing. Our staff are plenty busy. They still are doing all the processing, all the things, so that things will be ready to go as soon as SNAP is back in place. And in fact, they're busier than ever because they're getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of people searching for food, a lot of questions about this process. But I will ask Janelle to give a little update on where we're at.
Good
morning, Janelle.
Morning. Good morning.
Okay, first of all, the regular federal funding that normally pays for SNAP and MFIP food support will not be issued probably until the shutdown is resolved. There was a federal court order issued on Friday to the USDA to use contingency funds. There's about $5 billion in that, and they figure that would maybe cover half of the nation's need for food. Let's see here. Okay, those contingency funds, they haven't been released yet, but they're working on it, so that'll probably take some time before it actually gets issued. And they're not really sure how they're going to do that yet and what percentage.
Isn't that actually in the courts right now, saying that they don't know if they have the legal ability to do that? I'm pretty sure of it.
It's in the courts. He brought it back to the courts to explain to them of how they're gonna distribute it and what they can regulate and not regulate.
Because the government has to be in operation in order to enact the contingency.
Yeah.
That's the loophole, is what I have understood.
Sorry, Janelle.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And I know there was there's a lot of food sources that are providing more, and they've been given, I think, another $4 million in Minnesota to try to help with the shortfall, but not going to be enough. Let's see here. I was going to clarify that MFIP cash funding is still going out. So the MFIP cash funding was not included in that at all. Let's see. And I think Sandy said earlier, we're still doing applications and renewals, still processing everything, doing the approval. It's just the funding that will be withheld. Let's see. Yeah, and she had mentioned too that our phone calls and stuff, our phone calls and referring people to other resources will increase. And then I thought I'd let you know, we have 1,930 cases as of the end of October. And normally our issuance for September was $545,636. And then we have 65 cases pending when I checked it last. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
When we were out in DC for the APO a week and a half ago, we were out there for roads and bridges, obviously, but one of the biggest things that we were talking about was SNAP and how that was going to affect everybody, not just our area. And one of the questions that I had that was, even though our counties aren't stopping because we're state and local, what's it going to look like when federal government comes back? How long is this process going to take to get caught back up? And they were, I would say, sheepish on saying how long that would take, but they're saying significant time. Mm-hmm. So just because the federal government starts back up, these programs start back up, funding doesn't automatically kick in.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give a kudos out to whoever does the Human Services Facebook page, I think it is, to where you provided all the areas to where people to look for food. My wife looked at it actually and told me about that the other day. So
You can
kudos
also-
to you guys.
Thank you. You can also give kudos to our staff. They're doing a food drive as well. And over the weekend, a group of them did put together like this white chicken chili packages. So with all the things you would need with a recipe to do white chicken chili. I mean, it's minuscule in what we need in the world, but I still think it is worth noting what our staff are doing on their own personal time as well to try and have an impact.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Anything else?
Thanks for the update.
Thanks. Yeah,
Thank
appreciate the
you.
update.
No. Well, at this point, we're close enough that we'll recess the county board and.
So, Mr. Chair, we wouldn't recess. We just need to have a motion to go in closed session pursuant to the agenda item.
So moved.
Yep.
Second?
And I could just note for the record again, you're closing the county board meeting pursuant to Minnesota statutes 13D.03 subdivision 1 for discussion of labor strategy. And we're closing the session at 9:27.
Can we also talk about Tim as long as we're doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's right. So.
I need to shut down.